enjoy with Lexus Bill. Thanks to my crew, Adam Night, Philip Naya, Anita Tem, Rabu Johnson, Chris Piquet, Oliver Fagnon, and Esther Labi. Top story is coming up shortly. Enjoy your evening, and we'll meet tomorrow here on your Superstation.
Ouch! I did not pick it, I pick it, hey, I did not pick it, I pick it, shaking my meal, I can shake, plus it's one, I pick it, get validate. I saw me day, it be the same, it be the my baby, it's like a tap, a power sign, baby. I saw me day, I saw me day. Oh, yeah, what is a maybe? So, oh, yeah, what is a maybe? First, nobody know, yeah, on your fire. On the fire now, ferry. Can you look at don't go with the car? Yes, I know, I say. On the fire now, ferry. Oh, yeah, what is a man? So, oh, yeah, what is a man? First, nobody know, yeah. Can palute.
Well, tonight, damning revelations against ECG. A special investigative committee set up by the Minister of Energy reveals over 1,300 containers of the company at the port cannot be accounted for.
When we visited the port and counted the ECG containers there, we got 1,134, leaving out about 1,328 containers that could not be accounted for.
We have details as the committee accuses ECG of undermining procurement laws and engaging in over-procurement.
Even though ECG is a procurement entity and we're supposed to procure following the Public Procurement Act 663 as amended, they don't do any such thing. They procure contrary to the rules indicated in the Public Procurement Act.
We have more on this particular story as the Minister of Energy assures that those culpable will be made to face the law.
That is very serious. That's very alarming. And I assure you, we would conduct a detailed investigation into this matter. And somebody or some people will be held liable for this. 1,328 containers cannot just vanish into thin air. Somebody must be held liable for this. And I assure you that we would hold people liable for this.
All of those details here on Top Story brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Tonight, damning revelations against Ghana's electricity company as a special investigative committee set up by the Minister of Energy and Green Transition reviews over 1,300 containers of the company at the port cannot be accounted for. The committee further reviews a system put in place to ensure the company clears its goods from the port got truncated in 2022, resulting in the containers being abandoned at the port. It will be recalled that Minister of Energy John Abdullahi Janapo established this committee to investigate procurement activities carried out by the Electricity Company of Ghana during the Akufo-Addo administration. Now, today, the committee presented its work to the minister, and here is chairman of the investigative committee, Professor Innocent Senyo Akwa.
What we did was to first interview almost all the directors of ECG, including the acting MD then and the current acting MD. We visited the ports to ascertain the numbers of containers we have there. And then we also investigated other issues that come around. So I'll put them in three. One, for the containers, we took a list of containers that ECG has as containers they have at the port to be 2,491. That was the list they gave us, 2,491. However, when we visited the port and counted the ECG containers there, we got 1,134, leaving out about 1,328 containers that could not be accounted for. In the same investigation, we saw that, so we were trying to ascertain how come those containers were not cleared. In our interviews, we got to know that previously, ECG had been clearing their containers, and evidence was there to show. And they were doing that with an arrangement where they set up certain fund and transfer a fixed amount to that account every week. And that is what enables the shipping department to be doing the clearing of the goods when the goods arrive. They do that because the contract they sign for these foreign goods is CIF, simply meaning that the supplier will deliver the goods to the port, hand over the documents to ECG, and the shipping department of ECG will do the clearing. It's been done because of a reason, because most of those goods receive exemption from GRA. So if ECG clears them, they're able to take advantage of those exemptions. However, up to 2022, we don't know what happened, and they stopped setting aside the money. And that was when the containers started piling up. We got documents to prove that the Materials Directorate on 3 different occasions wrote memos to management to notify them that this situation is alarming, and hence they plead that they make money available so that they can clear the containers. Other directors also confirmed that those issues were raised at management meetings severally. In fact, some of them say when they were hearing the news, they were very uncomfortable, and hence they also added their voice that money be made available for them to clear the containers. But we don't know what happened. Money wasn't made available. The materials director indicated that they got the news that there was no money. That was what they were told, that there was no money. However, the committee also ascertained that around that same period that we were being told that there was no money, and money to clear the container is about just 1% of whatever cost they will incur on that container. At the same time that they were saying they were not having money, several contracts related to the same goods have been awarded. And those contracts, when the supplier delivers at the port and hands over the documents, 90% of the cost is supposed to be paid, all be spread over a period of time. So our question was, if you don't have money which you need to clear, why do you continue awarding contracts of the same type?
Well, so that's the chairman of that committee, the Professor Innocent Senyo Akwa. My colleague James Kwesi has been monitoring this particular meeting and joins me in studio with more from this meeting. Kwesi, what more do we know from this particular meeting?
Well, Brace, the chairman of the committee that conducted the investigation, who we just heard from, Professor Innocent Senyo Akwa, further revealed that their investigations found out a situation where 2 companies were engaged to do the same job, despite the Electricity Company of Ghana itself having a department that can actually carry out the same job that has been given by these two outside companies.
Then another development was that over a period when they piled up to over 2,400, we saw that 2 clearing companies were engaged to clear those particular containers for ECG. One was supposed to clear 1 container at 115,000 per container without recourse to size or content. 115,000 per container. 115,000 Ghana cedis per container. 115. Surprisingly, that company was supposed to be pre-financed to do the job, meaning ECG was ready to give them money to clear the containers for them, even though their shipping department is still active and has still been clearing goods. Another company was also contracted to do the same job. They were given, the first company was given 1,110 containers at 115,000 per container. The other company was given 200 containers at 160,000 per container. The first company, who was being pre-financed by ECG, was given, we realized, or we saw they were paid 30 million to do the job. 30 million Ghana cedis. That's the total amount they were given so far to use in clearing the containers. The other company claimed they would pre-finance, so they were not given any money. Now, fast forward, the first company did the clearing. They cleared some, they didn't clear some, and that was around December 2024. You all remember the issues at the port, so there were instructions that movements of containers be put on hold. We also found out that the second company, even though they were being contracted to clear containers from the port, they had no custom house license, a license you need to do the job they are being contracted to do. Additionally, we also saw that the second company was able to clear 47 containers, move them out of the port, deliver to ECG, which their warehouse confirmed, but they paid nothing for clearing the containers. So a check from GRA indicates that they started the process, no duties were paid, but the containers were moved out of the port, and ECG confirmed they received the contents. We were alarmed, and we raised that issue in our report as well.
Well, James, the committee also talks about some procurement breaches they found out in their work.
Yes, the chairman said the committee has also investigated procurement by the company and found that the company undermined the public procurement laws in some of their dealings. You know that these are the laws that would allow you to either do sole sourcing, or even if it is supposed to be opened, the exact provisions you would need to follow to do all of this. And he's saying that they've found out that some breaches had occurred in that as well.
Even though ECG is a procurement entity and we're supposed to procure following the Public Procurement Act 663 as amended, they don't do any such thing. They procure contrary to the rules indicated in the Public Procurement Act. We saw they wrote letters through the Minister of Finance and SIGA requesting for exemption under Section 15 of the Act. We also saw responses from PPA denying such exemption. And we thought that when you seek permission from someone to do something, you are denied. The status quo remains. But whilst they are writing permission or seeking permission to procure using under Section 15 and they were denied, they continue doing their own thing without following the Act. In fact, we queried them. We were told that when they receive direct cash from government to inject into their operations, that is when they use the Public Procurement Act. And again, when they receive donor funding, then they may either use the Act or use the donor agency's rules, depending on what PPA will say. But when they generate money from their own operations, they refer to it as IGF. That they don't follow the Act. But the Public Procurement Law defines public funds clearly. And IGF is a key component of that. So we were surprised. We were being told that for their IGF, they don't follow the Public Procurement Act. They also argue that they are a company, they compete, etc. But we all agree that ECG, when it comes to electricity distribution in the southern zone, they don't compete with anybody. They enjoy monopoly. So they can't say that they compete in the market. In fact, those were the reasons why PPA never granted them the exemption to procure under Section 15. Then when it comes to the practices themselves, you realize that immediately they are not following the law. A lot of things wouldn't follow good practice. We saw that there has been a practice of consistent over-procurement. Procurement simply means that procuring more than what you've planned for. So, for example, 2022, over-procurement was about 70%. 2023 was about 740-something%. So whatever they plan to procure in their procurement plan, you realize that that was overdone by 740-something%. Then we also saw that a lot of the procurements were not done using the competitive methods of procurement. A few examples include the award of the clearing contracts they gave to those two clearing companies. The first one was just handpicked. The second one as well, we understand the second one brought a proposal to help them clear the containers. So we asked them, how did the firm know that you have a problem of clearing containers for them to bring proposal? We didn't get any proper answer, but they brought a proposal and then they approved. Another person brought, they approved. It's the same thing they do. When it comes to the cables, no competition. Proposals are brought, referrals are made to procurement director to do price comparison, essentially with whatever they procured before and then award contract. Our question was, if I'm bringing a proposal to you for a contract, I'll first have checked how much you have been paying for the goods before. And I'll definitely quote a price lower than whatever you have been paying. So that price comparison wouldn't work.
Well, now the minister received this particular report. Any action he intended to do at the back of it?
Well, he said they would first of all have to fish out the faces and the names behind these companies. If any of them will be found liable in the face of the law, they would have to deal with them with that assurance that there will be some answers to this investigative report.
As you would recall, during my visit to the Tama Harbour, it came to light that about 2,500 containers were stuck at the port, incurring demurrage of about 1.5 billion cedis. We felt alarmed, and we thought that we could not continue. And so, after briefing His Excellency the President, we set up this committee to ascertain the reasons for the holding up of those containers, and also to look at other procurement-related matters, so that as a ministry, we can make some policy recommendations. I find